Democracy, an age-old idea dating all the way back to Athens in 500 BC. The idea that the people as a whole are the ones who should control the government and not just a select few or one person. So the reason why I'm speaking to you is because I believe that voting should be made compulsory in the United States. And I have done extensive research on the topic, so I believe that you can trust me. See, the three reasons why I found that voting should be made compulsory is because the first democracy in ancient Greece, the local voter turnout, and it's necessary for democratic consent. See, my first reason why is the democracy in ancient Greece. And according to an article about ancient Greece done by the History Channel, the first democracy was born out of a need to get out of tyranny. And actually the first person to bring about democratic reform was Cleisthenes of Athens. See, he thought that the people should control the government and not the government controlling the people. But you see, in Athens, everyone participated in the government. And this was either through military service or through being on one of the councils that would make decisions for the city. And like these decisions, they weren't necessarily just making laws and meeting 1 to 2 times a year. They were making day-to-day decisions about the city, and they were meeting hundreds of times in a year. This was truly a council controlling the city. And see, my second reason why is the local voter turnout. See, voter turnout in Texas and in the US is the lowest it has been for a long time. In fact, voter turnout in Texas is actually ranked last throughout the entire country. And according to the Houston Chronicle, whose study actually found that only 1 out of 3 Texans will go out to vote on election day. But see, we're only seeing the people who are voting are the ones that don't have to work as many hours to make a livable income. And we see that a trend that the higher your income is, the more likely you are to actually go out and vote. Now see, this could probably be attributed to the fact that the people that have higher incomes can take more time off to go out and vote, and their employers might be more willing to actually give them time off to go out and vote. But we have seen some improvements through early voting being brought about in Texas, but it's still not enough. Not everybody is going out and giving their voice. No, not everybody is going out and voting. But if we were to make voting mandatory, then employers would have to allow their employees the time off that they need to go out and vote and to give their voice. And if we were to follow the idea of instrumentalism, then democracy would not be a success in any way or form. Just because of the low voter turnout here in the US. I mean, the idea of instrumentalism is that the value of an idea is determined by the function in human experience. And currently, the democracy that we have today in the US has no function in human experience because it's not a true democracy, as in the fact that not everybody is giving their voice. I mean, if no one's giving their voice, then how can it actually serve a function? Therefore, democracy cannot be a success. And see, finally, my third reason why is it's actually necessary for democratic consent. Just like in Athens, our democracy was brought about by a need to get away from tyranny. And according to Democracy Web, in their article entitled Consent of the Governed, The Essential Principles, in order for us to have a true democracy that our founding fathers intended us to have, then everybody's voice must be heard. And that can't happen because not everybody is going out and voting. You know, nobody's going out. Not everybody's going out there and saying, giving their 2 cents of the idea. They're not going out and making decisions. And see, one of the founding ideas behind the United States, and one of the big ideas of John Locke, the philosopher, was the consent of the governed. And since we have so few people actually going out to vote and to be informed, that there can really be no true consent given. And what we're actually currently seeing right now is more of a consent of the people who have time to go out and vote and not necessarily the consent of everyone. See, in the worst case scenario, this can actually lead to a tyranny of the majority because the minority is losing their voice. They're deciding not to go out to vote. They're not going out and taking active steps to participate, and they're losing their voice because of that. And a worst case, it can lead to a tyranny of the majority. In conclusion, the 3 reasons why I believe that voting should be mandatory in the United States is the first democracy back in ancient Greece and how we share similarities with them. The low local voter turnout throughout the US, and the fact that it is necessary for democratic consent. See, I believe that voting needs to be mandatory so that we can make the true ideal of democracy a reality, and we can finally be able to attain true consent of the people to be governed, and to be able to avoid a tyranny of the majority, just by ensuring that everybody will have a voice. So next time, go out, be informed, and go out and vote, and make sure that your voice is heard.